Hi, my name is Shawn Shaler. This is my friend Chris Ford, aka The Objective Geek on YouTube and Twitter. And this is take 2, and I actually remembered to turn everything on this time, and I'm pretty excited about it. This take is going to be great. Chris, how are you?
I am doing great. Just mowed the yard, and my yard's somewhat manageable now looking.
I just wanted to
That's
say that we had a really nice conversation in take 1 that we're not going to try to replicate, but I want everybody to know that we both had good weeks, and it's about to get better because we're going to talk about this good episode. And that's a very cheap summary of what you missed in take 1. But yeah, good week. And this episode is actually quite a bit of fun, and we have another good topic or two that we're going to enjoy as well. But as usual, before we get into all that stuff...
I don't know why I'm laughing about this. I'm laughing because mowing the yard discussion did not compare to the other conversation we had.
The other conversation is full of touching personal things, and you're like, yeah, I mowed the yard. You know what? I'm proud of you, man. You keep that yard down.
But for the sake of being genuine, we decided that I wouldn't do that anyway. I wouldn't try and remake the conversation.
I think that's a testament to the type of people that we are, that we're not going to try to fake a conversation, that we just had a real conversation at first. I will say that I also hate mowing the yard, and if I remember correctly, you hate mowing the yard. So the mere fact that it gets done at all, we deserve a pat on the back. So there it is, pat on the back. Way to go, us.
Although I would say I had a lot of good contemplative moments mowing the yard. You know how you sit in it? Oh my gosh, now we're talking about mowing the yard. You know how you sit in the shower, right? And you have these thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts come to me today while mowing the yard. It was really good. A lot of different video ideas and stuff. Anyway.
I don't enjoy long showers, so I don't have great thoughts in the shower.
I love showers.
I'm a very quick shower person. I will agree with the mowing the yard. I get so bored that my mind drifts all sorts of... if you could paint a picture of whatever it was that came to my mind while I was mowing the yard, I'm convinced that it would be a confusing masterpiece, because every which way. Not the shower though, but I totally get it. I know that's me. That's the weird person. I think most people have their best best thoughts in the shower. Shower thoughts. Take a shot.
There we go.
Anyway, we've done some work in the past couple weeks. First of all, I need you all to know that our last video was a review of the book Avatar: The Last Airbender: The Rise of Kyoshi. That is a new novel by FCE all about Kyoshi. It's one of 2. And we talked about the book for 2.5 hours or something ludicrous. Yes. And Chris, I listened to every minute of our discussion. I never do that. I never listen to I listen to it lightly sometimes when I want to make minor edits and things. Other times just it was interesting and I re-listen. I listened to all 150 minutes of that podcast again and still enjoyed it. So don't you know what? Go watch our review, or better yet, just go read the book. It's an amazing book.
Also, we've gotten a lot of great, I think, responses and a lot of views in that video. This 2 hour and 30-minute discussion, and it's just as popular as any of my other Avatar videos. And people have watched it. I can see it, and they've commented. And thank you for anyone out there that watched it and partook with us on reading the book and everything. So
I'm willing to say that it's probably our first or second most popular regular podcast video. I think that's fair to say. And that surprises me because, first of all, it's so long. And second of all, it's pure spoilers that I thought that nobody would watch it. I thought the exact opposite. So just timely, though. It's very interesting. It's a hot topic. Thank you all for your participation. I put Borrowing Frenzy there because I wanted you to know I've already lent it to 2 people. So it's on its third person already, who is almost done. And then my wife's going to read it, and that'll make 4 individual humans reading this book. And that alone is kind of a testament to what I do sort of like about books for a guy that doesn't read very much. You pass it around, you share it. It's a good time. Chris, in the past couple weeks, you've made a couple other videos, including my new personal favorite video that you have ever made. And it should be everybody's because it's adorable. But I'll let you do the explaining.
Yes, my most recent video is the best female characters from Avatar. That include Avatar: Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. And most importantly, it does feature my actual real-life daughter on it. I don't have any fake life daughter.
But she's not imaginary. She's a real human.
Yeah, she's a real girl. And I featured her on that because one thing she really wanted to be on the video with me one of these days, and I knew that I was like one days I was gonna do a best female characters Avatar because I think Avatar is so great with its female representation and empowerment and inspiration for little girls. And I thought, oh yeah, I should have her on this, and so she gave her 3 favorite characters. The thing is, like, my family watched the video. Like my mom,
Awesome.
I told you I just was on a phone call with her right before this podcast. She was like, "Oh yeah, I saw your Objective Geek video with Kenzie." You know?
I have never met your mom. I know that you nailed that impersonation just because of the way that you said it. That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Your, in quotations, the Objective Geek video on the YouTube.com.
Yeah.
That's
She's like,
awesome.
"Yeah, she did good." I'm like, "What do you mean she did good?" Like, I guess so. It's not like, do you know what I've done for the past like 2 years? I have.
Nope, doesn't matter, Chris. Forget
Yeah, it
it.
doesn't matter.
She's a grandma now. She's got better priorities. I'm sorry. That's how it
Yeah.
goes. Uh, I don't have any kids, so I don't even get love like vicariously. It all goes elsewhere. But such is life. Your daughter did a really good job, and she was clearly enjoying herself, which is probably the part that makes it the most fun for everybody else. She was clearly eating it up.
Yeah. Now, other videos I have no idea what other videos are up there now. I think
I kind of
about
can't
it.
remember that one takes over.
Yeah, that's okay.
What movie did you make one on the movie you didn't really want to go see, and then you went and saw anyways? Did you do one on
Um,
that? What was that even called?
I have a Lion King review out,
You
and
might have had that
a
one
couple
last time, even. Ugh, I'm tired of Disney live action. I don't even want to talk about that. Blah,
I'm
Disney. Stop it, Disney.
I'm completely fine with Disney live action remakes.
You say that now until Disney takes over the world, then you'll be sad.
Well,
Sorry, not the whole
I don't
world.
like that Disney owns a lot of things, but they're gonna do live action remakes anyway, so that doesn't make me feel all that bad. But anyway,
What a power move to just be like, hey, we're just canceling Fox stuff. Like, that's amazing that a company can just say that. Like, if you'd said that 20 years ago, you'd be like, you can't cancel Fox stuff. And we're like, oh, yeah, they own Fox.
yeah.
Um, Very interesting. I did try my hand at a video, and I won't say that it went well, but I participate in a couple of video game centric Facebook groups, and it was fun to make a video that I sort of catered toward the topics that we'd been discussing in those groups. And so while it didn't get like any YouTube views, I got some Facebook love, and it felt good. Maybe I'll try it again sometime. But another thing that I didn't put on here, or the last thing, is that on top of talking about this episode today, we thought a fun conversation topic would be recently this article came out from, can you remind me the name? Aaron Ehasz?
Aaron Ehasz,
Am I
who's
pronouncing that right? I hope so.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced that way. Aaron Ehasz. He's the head writer of Avatar: Last Airbender, and he is the creator of The Dragon Prince.
And essentially, we decided it'd be fun to talk about today. I hope I actually put a slide in here. Yeah, I did. He had a discussion about how they were essentially prepared to write Avatar: The Last Airbender season 4, and it obviously never materialized. But it was a thing that was supposedly, I don't want to say in the works, that's too far, but it was planned. Am I understanding that properly? And
Yeah, it was. It was discussed. It was minimally discussed, I think.
minimally discussed.
Yeah, and so he had previous interviews with people, or really just this. He just tweeted out that he had thoughts about season 4 that included Azula and how she would have some type of redemption arc, and how Zuko would be that one to kind of lead her that way. That was a couple months ago. And then recently he had an interview. I forgot with who exactly, but in that interview he was talking about season 4 and the other storylines in that season. And he said, in my mind, I was always thinking this was going to be a 4-season arc, says Ehasz. Mike and Brian's initial plan was 3 seasons, but there was a period where they were open to the possibility of a 4th season. There was a period where Mike said, hey, can you run season 4? Then some of those plans got interrupted, which in a couple months ago interview, the plans got interrupted because of the last Airbender movie. And you don't have to put all the blame on M. Night Shyamalan in that sense, because
But why not?
M. Night Shyamalan was like, because Brian and Mike did not want to do the 4th season because they wanted to help out on the film, even M. Night was like, "Oh no, you should go do season 4." He was probably saying that because he didn't take any of their advice when
He
it
was
came to
trying
the
to get rid
film.
of them actively. Like, hey, what if you
Yeah,
didn't look on set ever? Why don't you go somewhere
yeah.
else? I do that to my
But
wife when I'm about to destroy something. I'd be like, hey, you should go outside.
yeah, so it was the last Airbender, the film that interrupted, that halted a possible season 4. Um, and then Aaron Ehasz go on to say in his interview, my feeling about that was like, there's always a cost, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't preface that with saying that the plot line would have involved about how Aang took away the Fire Lord's bending. The Ehasz wrote, my feeling about that was like, there's always a cost, right? There's always some balance. You can't just be like, I'm the Avatar, taking your powers away. It's a great power, but part of it is you just took all this evil into you. To take it away from someone else, you're holding on to it to protect the world. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much the Aang. That would have been one of the storyline, was that Aang was struggling, taking some of this inside, and probably a considerable amount of anger and guilt and big feelings. And by the way, guess who would be the best person to have a mini vacation with? It's Zuko, someone who's processed a lot of anger on his own. So I find it kind of interesting that Aaron Ehasz like mentions all these possible season 4 things
Did it
that
come
to
off to
me
you as
were.
still pretty, like, it's still a little hurt about it, maybe? Like, that's how it. His,
Yeah, it's
his
weird.
voice
I'm
sounded hurt to me. I kind of felt bad for him as I was reading through the article.
Well, it's weird. I feel like I have like a weird like protection of Brian Konietzko and Michael DiMartino.
The
because
OGs.
yeah, because so Brian and Mike, they planned out this whole season 3 arc really in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks. Like they knew exactly how it was going to end. There was a lot of minor stuff, well, not minors, very important
But still
detail stuff
details,
that
yeah.
they didn't, yeah, that they didn't have thought out, that Aaron Ehasz, I think, came in and really helped them with. Really like establishing characters and motives, like Iroh, making Toph a girl instead of a boy, stuff like that. But to me, they had like a storyline and they told it, and that's the story they want to tell. And then like the season 4 dangled out there, and they're like, yeah, maybe. And I think Aaron Ehasz, um, like he always brings up this potential. I say always, but he brings up this potential 4th season. And to me, Brian and Mike never brings those things up because they told their story that they wanted to tell, and also they don't want their story to be like impeded by what ifs and like, oh well, what if Azula had a redemption arc, and what if Aang dealt with this and that. Like they told their story, and they just wanted to stand on its own, without the shackles of that. And so that's their property, that's their creation, right? That's their soul creation. While Aaron Ehasz, that's not his soul creation, right? Like the Dragon Prince is his soul creation. Like he invented that. And so I think when it comes to Avatar, he's more willing to be like, oh, here's some possible storylines that would have changed something that I'm not really the.
It
And
feels like
I
more of a
sound.
third party. Well, it doesn't have to be bad. It's just the way
Oh,
of life. But like a third party
to me, he's
outside
not
advice
as.
that maybe the people receiving the advice don't necessarily want. It happens.
Yeah, to
That's life.
me, and I respect the crap out of everyone in this. Like, I love the Dragon Prince. I think they all do amazing jobs at doing different things to different fet. Um, but I think my point with that is that um, is that he's just more willing to talk about the Avatar series and like what possibly things could have happened, while Brian and Mike are really quiet about it because they, I think, just want their story out there and they don't want it to be impeded by anything. They both of those two are just kind of different when it comes to interaction with people. Like Brian and Mike don't talk about really anything, while Aaron Ehasz does talk about a lot of stuff. He's fairly relatively more social on like social media and stuff. So maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but
No,
also
I think we need to go down this this avenue. Excuse me, thinking too much into it because I'd love to hear just in general your opinions of A, whether or not you would have enjoyed it or thought it was a good idea, and B, what you think might have actually happened in it. I think I interrupted you though. If you had more to say on the
I know.
actual
On the
story piece.
yeah um on the actual on this story piece, 'cause this is just one half of the Aang storyline. I think I would have been fine with that. It would have felt. The thing is, I think season 4 would have felt a little weak, especially compared to the grand story that was being told before. Which is why I find it weird that like Aaron Ehasz was thinking it was a 4-season arc. To me, it would have been like even if we had the 4th season, it would have been like a 3-season arc, then a 4th like just epilogue like arc. I don't think it would have been that. And granted, they probably would have written it in a really terrific, great way. But just this high arcing story plot line of Aang dealing with that darkness in him. Um, I don't know. It probably could have been interesting, but it would have just like one of my issues with the Star Wars, uh, not remakes, but this new Star Wars trilogy is that it just continues this story that should have been ended with the original trilogy. But they're like, oh, the Empire's gone, yay! And then like a couple years later, it's like, oh, well, the First Orders is here. Now we need more balance. Like I thought we already fought this off, and so the storylines regarding, um, I think the Fire Lord, like evil with an Aang, might not seem that interesting to me. Granted, like I said before, they probably would have written it in an amazing way. I probably would have loved it. Yeah.
I selfishly I think we all want more Avatar, and I think we would have watched it whether or not we enjoyed it as much. We probably still would have enjoyed it to an extent, right? But something in hindsight, at least in hindsight, and I know hindsight's 2020, but something that makes it so satisfying is that it's such a beautiful arc with just the right amount of closure at the end and just the right amount of. You know how I always complain about Marvel movies, how I don't want every single movie to be like, "Hey, the universe is about to be destroyed." I hate that in movies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in Avatar: The Last Airbender, they make you feel like it is that way when really it is just one big power hungry villain. He's not actually going to destroy the world, just going to take over. It's a little different, but it just wraps up so nicely and so perfectly. It's such a beautiful sort of circular story that I would have happily. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I would have happily watched more and enjoyed it, but. In hindsight, I think part of what makes us appreciate this show, I think we both actively have said it's probably our favorite television show. Part of that's probably because it finishes off so nicely. It knows when to quit. It doesn't overstay its welcome or anything like that. I will say that if season 4 had happened, the part I didn't like about the article in what you had described earlier was this sort of inner evil in Aang that he's kind of housing. I guess for lack of a better term, because to me that kind of implies some weird things that probably it's totally opinion. Everybody could take it differently, but to me that sort of implies that there's either sort of an inherent evil attached to bending, or that bending is like taking away his bending is sort of taking more than just his bending, and that was kind of hard for me to wrap my mind. Like that felt like a forced plot device just to make Aang more interesting, and I would have hated that. I would have, like, Aang not just being the Aang that I know and love through the entire series, I would have hated that so much. So, and for that reason alone, maybe more than anything, I'm glad it didn't happen.
Yeah. Ehasz goes on to also say, it says that other storylines included one around the spirit world featuring Iroh. So that would have been interesting.
Everybody would have loved that, right? More Iroh.
Yeah.
I'd watch a spin-off series about Iroh.
And another was, and he says, a story about a child being born that people were wondering if this was another Airbender or not. In particular, Aang started to wonder if this was the reincarnation of Gyatso. That was something I wanted to do and talk about the idea of friendship lasting beyond lifetimes. And he goes on to say, even with these, he goes on to say, obviously, some right decisions were made, because he was talking about how everyone still loves Atla. But then he says, puts it, we had a 4th season if the world had deemed it. So on the thing about there possibly being an Airbender, and it being a reincarnation of Gyatso, so there's been like, I think there's a lot of misconceptions about Avatar that the fans either might not notice or blatantly don't understand. And like, so the reincarnation, every character an avatar is reincarnated, and you don't get that sense until you don't really. I didn't really get that until, I mean, it's sort of implied until watching Legend of Korra, where we discover Wan and how Wan was the first avatar, and when Wan dies, Rava tells him, "We will be together for all your lifetimes." That implies that Wan was going to have his own lifetimes regardless of Rava's interaction with him. A lot of people, I don't know, misconstrue that. But I think this goes to reinforce that, like, yeah, everyone has reincarnation. It's just that with the Avatar, he's really important. Like he's the most, or he or she
His
is the most
reincarnation's the
important.
most exciting.
Yeah, no one's like, oh crap, who's the Cabbage Man going to be reincarnated as? Gotta
Which
find out.
is a dang shame because I bet his next life is way better just given all the negative the negativity he had to put up with in this one. I bet next time he comes back as a Cabbage King.
Uh, uh.
I hope so. I hope so.
And also with the Avatar, it's the only one that can be proved. Like it's proved
Yeah, it's the only
by
one with any sort of evidence toward
it's
it.
it's proved by someone has kept up all these Avatar relics, or whichever way that each nation proves who's the Avatar, and also they can physically bend the four elements. Nobody else can do that. Like when it comes to everyone else, it's like you can't prove who the reincarnation of Sokka is. Which is, I was thinking at one point in time, like even before this came out, it's like, oh well, what if like you could prove someone's a reincarnation of someone? Like, what if someone was trying to find the next Azula, and
And
have
they
her
stumbled
take
on
over?
Varric, and they're like, "That's it." Just kidding. That's not a good reincarnation. Don't look into that.
But that story plot line I find interesting, and maybe they can dive into it in the books. And also, this is the thing is that like if there was a season 4, we wouldn't have the comic books, and I think the comic books can be they're all good, but I think they're good to varying degrees. I think the Search is really good, which I'm surprised they mentioned the Search in a possible season 4. I do know that they considered making a movie of it, but that was like even I think after the last Airbender movie, and Nickelodeon had no interest in doing really, I think, anything related to
So
that.
Nickelodeon is pretty much done with this particular rap at
Yeah,
that point.
yeah, and I think they were good with. And then I don't know where that came at. It must have came before Korra. But anyway, but yeah, so I think it would have been an interesting thought about the reincarnation stuff, but all these stories would have felt so minor compared to the three books, which is like an epic tale, like never told before. And this would have been like, and this is
And this
slightly what
also
happened.
happened.
Yeah.
It's been like the reverse of The Hobbit, where there's an epic tale and then there's one extra that's kind of important. The
Yeah.
I also it's taken me a long time. I used to not be this way at all, but the older I've gotten, the more okay I am with ambiguity. So when it comes to like say Azula having a redemption arc, or maybe not necessarily knowing what Aang did in those later years and that type of thing, like I think a younger me would have been disappointed, but I'm actually learning to get better about being okay with that ambiguity. I don't have to know every single detail. It's kind of fun, again, that we wrapped up so nicely on one story and then we moved on to another story that is also very good in its own right, even if it's not quite as beautifully cyclical as Avatar The Last Airbender. Don't read too much into that. I'm not offering a comparison. I'm just saying I'm happy they moved, preserve the universe. It's such a big, beautiful, well built up universe. Use it, but tell me something different, and I'm really happy that happened. But again, hindsight 2020. If it was back in the day and it came on, I'd watch it. I'd watch it right now too. Probably, I'd enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
It's interesting because a lot of people, I think, unjustly so, because I think some people dislike Legend of Korra a lot. They're like, oh, Aaron Ehasz, because he wasn't involved with Legend of Korra, he must have been like the real important one of Avatar: The Last Airbender. And I'm like, no, like he was definitely important without a doubt. Like he wrote a lot of. I think he was very much responsible for the character of Iroh and things, but like the whole Avatar universe, Brian and Mike created from scratch. Like this universe that's unlike I think any other universe.
A very thoroughly crafted, foundationally strong universe, which is much easier said than done.
Yeah, and they did it in like 3 weeks, and so I I think everyone is amazing at a lot of things that they do. Like, I don't think Avatar would be the same without Aaron Ehasz, and it wouldn't be anything without Brian and Mike. Um, and Legend of Korra, I think, is amazing as well. I do think one of Aaron Ehas's one of his great abilities, I think, is to write characters, to character relationships, because I see that in the Dragon Prince. But I think Brian and Mike is really amazing at building story and conflict and epic and grandness of it all. Like I think you see in Legend of Korra and also in Avatar, that I think is missing a little bit from the Dragon Prince. Although that's hard to say because we're really early on in the Dragon
Yeah,
Prince.
it's really hard. That one feels like it has a very big, large, grand arc that we're just now scratching. So it's hard to comment on that one, I think.
Yeah.
Brian and Mike, that's Scotty and Michael. And then I guess Aaron gets to be Dennis Rodman, or he'd be, I don't know, he can be Horace Grant if he wants. Or Kobe Shaq, and then Aaron can be Derek Fisher, or whoever. He can hit those big
Derek
shots.
Fisher.
That's fine. Robert Ory, I don't know, take your pick. Long story short, Aaron, we appreciate your work. I don't think we are too upset that this didn't happen, but we are upset that it was because it was interrupted by that Shyamalan movie. But Chris, I just had an idea. A brilliant idea, I think. Has your daughter seen the Shyamalan movie?
She has, yes.
I think so. I have not, and we've discussed at length, and I've been procrastinating because I really don't want to watch it.
You have been procrastinating.
I
specifically,
I specifically don't want to watch it, and it's not because I think it's gonna be the worst movie of all time. I just, it's like, I don't know. It's like knowing something tastes bad and then you're just going to eat it anyway voluntarily. Like, it just seems stupid. Yeah. But what if when we watch that movie and we'll do like live takes and reactions or whatever, I think we need to get your daughter in the mix for that. Let her sit with us, eat popcorn. She'll keep it rated PG so I don't get too mad because I won't cuss with kids in the room. We need to get her. No, I do think when we do that, though, when the time comes, some kind of two-parter, like first part kind of highlights of live reactions to things, maybe with silent clips from the film, and then maybe a short review as a separate thing afterward would be kind of fun. But
yeah,
blatantly, intentionally procrastinating, absolutely. It'll happen, though. It's got to happen. It'll be worth our time. That's all. I think that's all I got to say on season 4. Very interesting article. Aaron, we appreciate you. We appreciate the Dragon Prince. No hate here. No hate being spread with the Scotty, Michael, Dennis Rodman comments. With that all being said, I think I am ready to move on. If you are, to book.
Oh, you know what's a good?
Oh, no, not ready to move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, what's a good comparison? It's like, no, this isn't a good comparison because they never won anything. I'll say it's like the Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook is Michael Dante DiMartino, because also they're fairly like equal. Like neither one was like the leader.
There's no Michael and there's no Kobe there. I get that.
Yeah, and then no
offense,
but they never made anything great, right? And then
there's got to be a perfect like a 3-pair where there's an obvious 2-in-1.
Yeah, without to say James Harden then left OKC and went to Houston, and then built a really great team there. So that's like the Dragon Prince. But also neither one of these teams have done anything great.
So they haven't won anything, and this is gonna be kind of mean, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. It was which team is DeAndre Jordan with? Is that the Nets? Where did he go?
Nets, yes.
So it's like if they won, then Aaron Ehasz would be DeAndre Jordan. He's like, see, I'm important too, but I'm sorry, DeAndre. I used to be such a big fan, but you're not the same anymore without Blake. It's fine.
He's listening in on this podcast.
He's probably
not only does he love Avatar: Last Airbender, but he listens to this podcast.
He's one of the 5 regular listeners on this podcast. When he's not reading mean tweets on Jimmy Kimmel, by the way, I'm not joking. I actually am a big DeAndre Jordan fan. He has a good sense of humor. Go watch those mean tweets. He's listening to our podcast on Spotify. I bet he upgrades so he doesn't have to listen to ads. I bet. He probably upgrades.
Wait, we're on Spotify?
Yeah. That's where I listen to us.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, that's right. I forget.
I personally would argue that Spotify, with all due respect to Apple, iTunes, and Google Play, I think Spotify is probably the easiest way to listen to us. I think. Personal preference. It's totally...
Well, I would listen to us on Stitcher, but we're not on Stitcher, so...
I thought we
Stitcher's
were.
my. I don't think so.
What?
Stitcher's my choice
Hold
to
on.
listen to podcasts
I
on.
painstakingly put us in way more places than we deserve. Let me check here. Stitcher. Are we doing this live? I'll do this. No, it's fine. We're gonna find out if we are on Stitcher.
We're on the podcast.
Actually,
checking to see if
I
we're
think that
on.
Stitcher is one of those I didn't even have to apply to. I think it actually just picks things up from other.
Oh, well, I should subscribe to our own thing on Stitcher.
I think. Don't quote. I hope we are, but I'm not. I'm not gonna swear. All right, I don't have a sign in, so I actually can't search it. You got your sign in.
No.
Another
Nah.
time. Another time.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, we're
yeah.
probably go listen to us maybe on Stitcher. If you made it to this point in the podcast, clearly you found it already. So I don't know what I'm saying. Book 2 Earth, episode 29. It's episode 9 of Book 2. It's called Bitter Work, and I can't reiterate enough that it's just very interesting on numerous fronts. This is right after. What is it right after? It's right after the chase, which had a pretty epic ending, where Azula caught Iroh with some evil, awful blue lightning. First time we've seen blue lightning, I think, in the entire universe. I believe this is our first exposure to blue lightning.
No, Azula, her first introduction, she had lightning.
Really?
I think all lightning is, yeah.
Okay. Well, never mind. I lied. Anyways, she in the chase, she like straight up just destroys a giant brick wall with some lightning. It's really cool. But she hits Iroh, and then all 4 of Team Avatar plus Zuko team up in a beautiful Avatar metaphorical moment of bending at Azula to chase her away. And then Zuko takes Iroh off to heal him up, and Team Avatar runs off, goes on their separate ways. So now we're still in the Earth Kingdom, hence Book 2 Earth. And they are essentially looking for a place for Aang to stop and train and finally learn earthbending. It's finally time for Toph to start teaching him. And that brings us to this episode.
Yeah, I do. I do like as episodes introduce it. Aang is really excited and everything, and Toph is wakes up, and Sokka's like just grumpy as it's gonna be. Because everyone is loud, he's just trying to sleep.
And it's been a long couple episodes. The previous few been a long, grouchy couple episodes.
It has been, yeah, it really has been. And so, Aang and Toph starts training, and Aang is terrible at earthbending. He tries to earthbend this rock, and it just like forces him back.
I took that as like his own airbending. Like I feel like he accidentally airbended, and it's sort of like his own. It's funny how you can interpret such a simple thing differently, but in my head, he was trying to earthbend, but he accidentally airbent instead and just repelled himself back. That's funny. Either way, it's pretty funny.
Might have been used.
Comes out swinging.
This is the first time I've watched it. I thought about this. That it might have been used to mirror how, like, when Zuko later on in the episode tries to lightning bend, everything just blows up in his face. Like to me, he falls back.
A good mirror.
It's that same way.
Nice mirroring. I didn't think about that. It's just funny how such a small thing can be interpreted differently.
Let's have a 2-minute conversation on Aang not being able to earthbend this big boulder.
What really happens in this 2 seconds that we open the episode with? Find out more on this episode. That's what keeps people coming back.
Yeah, so pretty much Aang is just having a lot of issues with it. Like, but he's doing the training and everything. He's actually getting kind of better at just the basics of earthbending, not necessarily bending, but just the forms and everything, and being able to do like the motions and stuff. But he's still not able to earthbend. And eventually, Toph gets this huge rock and and like this ledge, and she just tells Aang like, "All right, you just gotta stop the rock. That's it."
It looks like Looney Tunes when she says it. It looks like Wile E. Coyote trying to crash some Roadrunner. It looks ridiculous, and I dig it. Yes. I love it so much. Kind of this whole episode has a Looney Tunes flair to it, other than the dramatic intercessions of Zuko and Iroh.
Yeah, and then like when Katara's like worried about him, she's like, "Toph, you think this is the best way to teach him earthbending?" She's like, "You know what, Katara, you're right." She takes off Aang's like belt thing and puts it around. She's like, "It's much better if he does a blindfold." Thank you, Katara. And Aang is like, "Yeah, thanks, Katara." And then And then she puts the rock down, and Aang just like jumps over it. And Toph is like really pissed that he doesn't try and bend. Also, she's pissed that he doesn't just give the rock the gratification of smushing him.
Of killing the avatar. Like, hey, how'd this avatar die? I don't know what happened. No idea.
Yeah. This is the third avatar death due to an earthbender
from
trying
earthbender training. What a great story that would be.
And then she gets all mad at him, and then like Katara's like, all right, we'll go and train. She's like, yeah, well, whatever, go splash in some water. This is like peak. Maybe this is peak. Like this is probably the last of like the very tough Toph that isn't like as loving.
This is still pinnacle of grumpy Toph for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
We've had like bad teammate Toph. Now we're building up into like bad trainer Toph. But we promise the Toph that we grow to love very much is around the corner. Who's still tough. We're not trying to take that away. Just less of a jerk.
Yeah, she's not like, oh, we'll be friends forever type of Toph right now. She's like, all right, I gotta teach you earthbending.
Yeah, come here. Right now she's just Sifu Toph.
Yes, which like you said, which is fun. Every now and then I find like it makes Katara angry. Like, hey, you don't call me Sifu, Katara, which is it's an adamant, very it's a very understandable gripe. But like, you ain't got to gripe about it, Katara. Like, you're that insecure that you need to be called Sifu.
You're literally part of traveling Avatar party. Like, you really need that distinction. I don't know.
But it does make Katara. Up. Yeah. It does. I think the moment it brings a nice moment later on in the episode.
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. That's probably the only reason it's even in there. It's like, hey, we got to have one feel-good moment in this episode, right?
Yes. Yeah.
There's probably 2 feel-good moments in this episode, actually. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead. I know we're getting to what you're probably thinking is most likely your favorite part. Just guessing.
Well, yeah, it's the best part of the episode, Shawn. Why don't you get that? So anyway, we open up on the B side of the story.
Good parallel episode here where there's two separate lines going on.
Yeah. And so, a previous episode, Iroh was pit with Azula's blue fire, and he's recovering. And he's asleep, but there's a vision he's having of him like young and just playing with the sun on a hill, and like it's like the most joyful time. Iroh, like this is his son Luten, and they're rolling around and stuff, just laughing, and then that vision goes quickly to Luten's tombstone, and Iroh is just raining, and Iroh is just sad, and he says like we will be together again. Like, holy crap, like so much just great story being told in a matter of seconds. And Iroh just, waking up out of it, because like that's what he thinks about. Like this fuddy-duddy uncle character who in season 1 was, he was just a fuddy-duddy character. Like there's so much more to him.
It's very, very touching, and it's also sort of a shocking reversal from, it's not the beginning of the episode is lighthearted, but it sort of has a campy Team Avatar feel, and then you jump to this like real punch you in the feels 5 seconds with Iroh, and you're like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. And you're just nothing in the episode prior to this point really makes you think you're getting into that kind of episode, I guess. So it's hard to believe.
And he wakes up, and Zuko is mending him back to health. And and Zuko gives him coffee. He's like, I hope I made it the way you liked it. And he drinks it. He's like, ugh. And if you notice, he quickly does this motion, and then just holding it, he spills the tea out of the window.
Awesome. There you go, Iroh.
Like really quickly.
Preserve his feelings. That's good. That's important.
Yeah. And I think he continues to pretend to drink it and everything. Anyway,
to the game. That's what that is.
Yeah. Zuko's saying like, hey, I need to start training again. I need to learn more techniques if I'm going to beat Azula. And I know what you're going to say. She's my sister. I should learn to get along with her. It's like, no, she's crazy. She needs to go down.
If they could say the word bitch in this show, he would have said, let's take this bitch down. If they could have.
Yeah, probably.
It's like I wanted him to say it. And I know he doesn't say it, but as I'm watching, I was like, maybe he's going to say it. He doesn't say it. Just my imagination.
So and then he stands up like all firm, like it's time to resume your training. And like he
That's
stood
very
up,
Splinter like.
Yeah. Like, and he stood up like so dramatic that I forgot that Zuko was actually like training from on like episode 1 and 2. But then after that, the training
don't get very much of
they
that.
didn't talk about training, but they also didn't talk about like they didn't reiterate like you need training. Like they just kind of dropped the whole training thing, which I thought would have been in hindsight would be kind of interesting that like Zuko is so focused on finding the Avatar that he is just completely abandoning like actual Fire Nation practices and fire training, and it's probably making him a worse bender in a sense, or making him more uncontrollable. Actually, that would have been really interesting now I think about it. Now I'm writing
kind of gives some more build up to Iroh being such a good character too, like dragging him back to these training sessions, even though it probably feels like they're unnecessary. Zuko does, not Iroh. But like Iroh's that steadying, like, no, you still have to do this, champ. I know you've been disbanded, but come on, training time. That would have been kind of interesting. I don't know where you'd fit it in. Like every episode's packed, but it could have made it.
I think
it could have made it.
I think you just drop it in every now and then, like just subtly. Yeah, you drop hints. Like Zuko's firebending is becoming more and more unbalanced, and is becoming like,
kind of wild,
just
or
more
uncontrolled, maybe
wilder. Exactly, more controllable. He's becoming probably more like Zhao, right? And we've seen Zhao before when he's fighting, and he's like that. And so you can kind of parallel Zuko with Zhao, and then season 2 you can parallel Zuko with Azula, who is in all control. Like her firebending is in complete control. And then you talk about this, and it goes into this episode here, and finally season 3. He gets into full control of his emotions, while Zula's emotions and psyche starts to crumble.
I'm glad you talked about that, because I have a complaint about that to mention in a few minutes here. It's very important.
Oh, okay.
Chris, way to go. You just took the best show ever, and you made it better. Great. I'm glad they didn't, like, shoehorn it in. Like, Uncle's like, hey, we need to resume your training that we're doing up until a couple weeks ago when we separated, that we definitely did that whole time. No, actually, I agree completely. That'd have been an interesting little, just like, side tidbit.
Yeah, I gotta write that down. I'm building a list of things that the Netflix show can do better.
I hope that list is like one thing. Come on, man.
I mean, it's not a lot. It's a great show. I can't.
The things we love the most get the most criticism. Part of life. But anyway, next part, if you don't mind, I'm going to interject
go ahead.
Because I love this, where Sokka, first of all, he goes off hunting for food, and it's perfect Sokka because A, nobody cares. Like, people barely notice he's leaving. B, he's the only one thinking about food. C, he's going hunting, but he's really only thinking about food for him. So it's like Sokka in a nutshell. And he's up in this tree, and he sees this cute little, I don't remember what he calls it. I remember what it
tooth moose line.
But they don't know that
yet.
He just sees a little, it just looks like a moose.
He doesn't know what it is.
It looks like a little moose cub or something. And it's really cute. And he's like, you're adorable. Unfortunately for you, you're made of meat. And so he jumps from the tree, and he's going to just like bloody stab this animal on television. But instead he falls into this crevice, and the animal is like real close to him, like kind of not taunting him intentionally, but close enough that he like tries to swing and attack at it again. He just thinks further. So now he's just trapped.
He throws his boomerang barely.
He flicks it. And it's like pure Sokka in a nutshell, like a combination of determination and just kind of stupidity. And it lands him in this crevice. And then we start this beautiful trend. It kind of cuts in and out, so I don't know how far he goes. But essentially we get several shots throughout the episode of Sokka. Like, first he swears off meat, and he's going to lead like a more karma-driven lifestyle. So he's going to be a vegetarian, and he's gonna quit being sarcastic. And I said, this is over the course of the whole episode. I know I'm kind of condensing it down. But, like, great revelation into Sokka, like, A, how bad he wants to get out of this hole, and B, like the things that he values most in life, as he's essentially talking to this little baby moose thing that he doesn't know what it is yet. And it's almost a third storyline. Normally, I mentioned earlier, we got a lot of these parallel episodes where there's Zuko and Iroh and then Team Avatar. Well, in this one, Sokka's off kind of doing his own thing, just stuck in this hole waiting, and he can't even move his arms or anything. And it's tremendous. Worth the price of entry just to hear him swear off sarcasm alone. And then we cut back to, at some point, Iroh and Zuko getting back to training.
So Iroh is going to show Zuko how to lightning bend, and he tells him how like lightning is the purest form of fire bending, and it is considered the cold-blooded fire, which is really interesting because I don't want to spoil Kyoshi novel. It's not. I mean, I'm sure everyone who watched our review, probably everyone who listens regularly to this podcast.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Because I kind of want to mention it too. Actually, can we spoil it? We don't have to. It's fine. We can get to the point with that. I kind of want to.
Yeah, just say, all right. Lightning bending is something that was rare in the time of Kyoshi, and it's really interesting in Kyoshi to see like, oh, this person can lightning bend.
You did that well as it could be done. Nicely done. So this is where I take some issue, especially with like a character arc of Azula, is that they tie cold-blooded fire to having what does Iroh say? Complete peace of mind, or your mind must be completely at peace. Is that?
Yes.
So in my head, the character that does it in Kyoshi, from a sort of purely in a very negative light, I can sort of see that character having a misguided peace of mind. Ozai, I can see Ozai having so much hubris that in a weird way I can see him having some peace of mind. But Azula is such a nutcase that it's hard for me to understand how, if it requires peace of mind, that this little like caffeinated up nut job can have achieved this tremendous feat of firebending at such a young age. Like, to me, I don't know. I kind of dislike that they tied it to peace of mind, because it seems more like a pure talent thing. Like, hey, some of the strongest firebenders get to do this, and if you're lucky, you can figure it out, but most people can't. But I think
Azula does have a peace of mind until at the last 10 episodes, because she's fairly like, her emotions never get the best of her.
It does. It stems from hubris. It's like an entitlement almost that her and like Ozai have, that leads to peace of mind in their own little world kind of way. Their world is perfect.
Yeah, and I think even towards the end there, when her her psyche is completely just crashed and she's gone completely mad, like clinically insane. She has like multiple real life psychological issues. I think at that point she just knows how to lightning bend, and you don't like unlearn it. And also, yeah, you kind of already have it. And then also the more common things become, the more people can do them. Like we see in Legend of Korra, like Mako can lightning bend. Like lightning bending is so normal that people do it to generate electricity. So things just get kind of easier and easier. And Zuko is just like so freaking messed up that he can't do it.
I don't want to be the guy that just critiques. I do want to offer a solution. It's probably a similar thing, but instead of peace of mind, I wanted something more like a total absence of emotion. Like peace of mind makes it sound like you're in a positive, sort of controlled state of emotion. I'd want to be like total robotic, complete absence of emotion or any love or hatred or anything in order to achieve this next level of bending. Like, yeah, to be sort of purely in the element. I think something like that would have appeased me more, but it's very minor detail, so I'll get over it. It makes me mad that Azula just sort of knows how to do it inherently when she just strikes me as a crazy woman. But I get it. It's fine.
So then Zuko can't do it though, because completely blows up in his face, literally, and he gets all down and gloom about it. And that's how that part ends. So
I think so,
then,
yeah.
so then on the flip side of that, oh, were you gonna say anything else?
No, just that I think you're right, because I think later we talk more about redirecting it kind of in the
Yes.
next cutaway. So yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So the next part, Aang and Katara are talking, and they're talking about just how like, oh, you're not getting it. Like, there's no workaround here. You can't use the airbending tactic of like trying to figure out some scheme how to get around it. You just got to face it head on.
No
And he's
different
like, yeah,
angle.
I know. Yeah, there's no different angle. And Katara tells him like, if water's the opposite of fire, what's the opposite of air? And then he was like, Earth, I guess. Like,
Shut up, you little snoot.
yeah. And she's like, well, you're working with your natural opposite. And like, yeah, earthbending is Aang's natural opposite for so many reasons. And learning the other elements goes beyond just what's the opposite of your element. It goes also what's the opposite of your like characteristics. Like with Korra, like airbending was the most difficult for her, even though airbending is technically the net's. I'm sorry, it's the element right before hers. Um, but she was so physically gifted that all those other three elements came so easily to her. But spiritual side, which is a big part of being an airbender, did not come natural to her. So airbending was hard for her.
I never thought of that.
Um,
It's kind of a shame that they couldn't stick to that
I,
exact
I,
opposite. But from an emotional place, I do get it. But it's kind of a shame that
I,
it didn't work out perfectly.
I can definitely see both sides of that.
It's fine.
Because bending is so much of a spiritual thing that it's probably more spiritual than it is physical, and 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 I can see how in this case Aang is not he's not stubborn, he's not like tough at all, but also air is the opposite of earth, so it works on both levels there. But I was fine with how it worked on Legend of Korra.
It just speaks to the uniqueness of the character as more than just the next avatar, like being a
Yeah,
unique human within the avatar line, maybe.
yeah, it didn't pigeonhole like, oh, all earthbenders are like this and all waterbenders are like this. Like it let people be unique individuals.
But if you want to learn more about the importance of avatars learning those things in cycles, there's a book you should read. It's a very good book. It's called The Rise of Kyoshi. I really like how it explains certain things about it. I say explains, that's not the right word. I really like how it explores certain things about it.
Explorers is a good one. Yeah.
Not explains at all.
Um,
Don't go there looking for science.
yeah. And then also we got the nice moment between Katara and Aang when she like throws some type of weird leaf thing at him that I think I've never seen in real life, and he water bends it, and then she says, you have the reflexes of a water bending master. And he says, "Thank you, Katara." He says, "Thank you, Sifu Katara." And that's just a nice moment there.
That's one
So
of the two nice moments we get.
yeah. And then we go back to Iroh, and he's like, "All right, I see that Zuko's not getting this lightning thing, and so I'll make him feel better. I'll teach him something that not even Azula knows, the lightning redirection." And I absolutely love when he goes through this. He's like, no one knows this technique because I learned it myself from watching the Waterbenders, and and the way he talks about the four nations is I think is amazing. And this episode has some of my favorite Iroh lines in it.
It has my single
Um,
favorite Iroh line in it.
oh, well, okay. Let me go back. Before this, before he starts to teach Zuko about, I think this is when it happens. Before he starts teaching
Yes,
Zuko
you are
about lightning
correct.
redirection, Zuko's like, he's just angry, right? He's angry at the world,
Everything blows up in my
and
face. He's being all angsty
yeah,
teen Zuko.
exactly. Um, and then I can't think of the exact words, but Iroh says to him, Zuko's like, "Oh, I'm as proud as ever." Like
I got it.
Iroh talks.
I got it. He
Okay,
says,
okay,
I don't remember exactly what Zuko says, but something about Iroh's like, you have to get over this shame. And Zuko
yes,
says, I am as proud as ever. All right, you can pick it back up from here if you want. I don't want to take your line away from you.
No, you're right. You have to let go of your shame. I'm not shameful. I'm as pride as ever. He's like, no, Zuko. The opposite of shame is not pride, but its source. I was like, oh, crap.
Hits deep.
The opposite of shame is not pride, but its source. Holy crap, Iroh. You just dropping knowledge bombs. Oh, that's big knowledge bomb. Like,
this, it's probably one of my favorite lines of the series because it's so pervasively true in all of life. Not just contained in the series. That's profound stuff. Pride, root
it is. Dang, I forgot what quote that you were saying before in our chat with.
I'm having a hard time remembering.
Yeah. Oh well.
It's a long chat. We chat a lot. We do. With Jamie, who was on in previous episodes. I hope she's listening. Hi, Jamie. Not literally right this instant because we're not live, but we have very extensive chats. But we also have jobs. So like 2 people will chat and have very extensive chats, and a third person has to come in and read like 3 pages worth of novel full of insightful thoughts and stuff that none of us remembers later. That's what we're alluding to right now that we can't remember. I forgive us. There's a lot of info in there.
All right. So we'll keep going. So Iroh is trying to teach Zuko about lightning redirection, but first he has to give him a lesson about the 4 nations. And Zuko is like nicely just sitting here listening, not knowing where this is going.
He kind of like an eye roll moment where he's like, "Is this about the Avatar or something?" Like kind of a douchebag moment, but
so
he
Iroh
actually gets over it pretty quickly when Iroh explains the learning his redirection from the waterbenders. He kind of like, oh, that validates it.
Yeah, so Iroh goes through each nation, just how and he has a nice little PowerPoint, nice little whiteboard, but an old age whiteboard where he draws where he talks about the 4 nations. He draws the symbols of them. He's like, the water tribe is the water is the element of change. The members of the water tribe have a great sense of family, and if they hold on to each other, they'll always be whole. The fire nations. Ambition and drive pushes them to be aggressive. The air nomads are able to find peace and tranquility, and the Earth Kingdom is Earth is a stubborn element. Everything. It talks about the 4 nations, and Zuko's like, why?
Nice big
this sounds
circle in this thing in.
Yeah. Zuko's like, all this 4 nation stuff. It sounds like Avatar stuff. He was like, the 4 elements in one person makes Avatar powerful, but it can make you more powerful too. Like if you draw wisdom from one place, your wisdom becomes rigid and distorted. But if you draw from whole, you can become a better person.
Pretty strong. I learned pretty strong White Lotus precursors.
Yes. Very. One thing, it's just great life advice. Like I often think about some people like to downplay college a lot. I think college was important to me. Like my student loans are almost paid off. I got like 1,000 or 1,500 left. Anyway, not
student
important.
Loans are the devil.
They are, but I would have done it anyway. But when I went to, you're in high school, right? You're in school, and you grow up pretty much the same group of friends. You hang out with the same people pretty much all through life, and so you're just given really one point of view on things. And then you kind of go to college and you start meeting a lot of new people, or you start going out into the real world and you start learning about, different people and how they grew up so much different than you. It's really easy to get into this mindset of I am normal and everyone thinks the way I think or should think the way I think. But you need to really draw your wisdom and your experience from all different cultures, and it can lead you to being a better person. Right, leads you to be more empathetic and everything. So I think those life lessons is one of the best ones from Avatar.
I think it's also the first time where we see. First time is probably a big speech. So we see before this that Iroh is not like any of the other firebenders in general that were shown. Firebenders is essentially Slytherin in that we know they probably are not all bad. It's just that we only ever see the bad ones, and that's Slytherin to me. But it's the first time where, at least in my memory, where it's not just that Iroh's different from the other firebenders, but he's a little just otherworldly as a human. Like, nobody else in the series to this point has demonstrated any kind of this meta understanding. And I think, like I said, mostly I get the sense, like, the first time I watched it, I would have never guessed that he was part of this White Lotus group or what have you. But you just get the sense he's part of something bigger, and I think that's what this is kind of foreshadowing in a very nice, not super subtle way, but a very nice way.
Yeah, and then so he teaches him the lightning redirection technique and everything, and how, and just in lightning bending, like the way it works is that you separate the negative energy from the positive energy, kind of in the universe, and then when the energy wants to come and clash back, you create a entryway for it to come back. It comes back as lightning. And the way that lightning redirection works is that you take it in and through your sea of chi, and it's very important you don't let it hit your heart, and then you come out the other end. Like you're just redirecting it, you're just a vessel for it. Now, the interesting thing here is that because they're just referencing chi and everything, because I was getting a conversation with someone on Facebook, which is just one thing that I don't have, like, one of the few things I don't have a definitive answer on, is that if anyone could redirect lightning, because everyone in the universe has chi. Like, chi is just the energy within your body. And lightning redirection is just making lightning go down your chi paths and flow out another direction. The way I land on it is that, and this is through more research and everything, I think either answer is probably right. Like, you don't have to be a firebender and able to redirect lightning. Or you have to be a lightning bender. I would say the reason why you would have to be a lightning bender is that, or a firebender, is that because everyone has different benders of a certain element have a different chi path opened up. So water benders have a chi path opened up, which is how Amon can take away someone's bending. He can go and he can sense their chi paths. He can close that chi path with the same way that healers can open up chi paths and allow bender's body to, or allow anyone's body to heal faster. Amon can find that chi path and close it and close your entryway of being able to bend, which is why he was unable to take away Korra's airbending, because it wasn't opened and he couldn't take away something he couldn't find.
I haven't thought about it that much, but I like that description a lot. I think it would hurt my psyche to feel like anybody who is not a firebender could bend lightning.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that there's a physical, well, I guess kind of metaphysical connection between what you have and can control within your body and the type of bending ability that you have just been granted by fortune.
Yeah, so I think with that knowledge, your chi path of the firebending would have to be open in order for you to flow that chi out the other way.
But anyone can take it in and hold on to some bad lightning.
Anybody can be struck.
I wouldn't recommend it if your chi doors aren't open. It's not going to end well. No, I think that's a good. I've never thought about it at all. I think that's a good description. Like I said, I would certainly not like the idea that, like, oh, anyone can lightning bend. That's no big deal.
Yeah, well, wasn't that anyone could?
Your chi.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't that anyone could lightning bend. Anyone could redirect lightning.
Redirect.
That's redirect.
But in the explanation you just gave, which I am now immediately a headcanon fan of, we are saying that no, you actually have to be able to bend fire and therefore be able to bend lightning in order to redirect.
Yeah. I would say that's one of those things that like that's one of those arguments that when someone have a different opinion, I'm not like, that's stupid. Because like sometimes people, sometimes people are like, oh, Aang died when he got shot by lightning with Azula, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense for several reasons. Although some people give like valid reasons why Aang did die. Although I think there's canon stuff in the universe that says that Aang didn't die when Azula shot him with lightning.
I'm gonna say he didn't die because there wasn't a new Avatar.
Yes, I know that's the. But then they're like, oh well, the spirit water actually got Rava back. I'm like, well, the whole thing about
Avatar works, man.
To me, it's like, well, the reason why the Aang is anyway. That's another conversation for
No, we
another
gotta
time.
solve this now. No, you're right. Different conversation for different day. I'm gonna fall
Yeah.
back on he didn't die because he's still alive. Maybe his heart stopped. I'll give you that one. Maybe he was he flatlined for a second. I'll give you that much. Theorists. I'm very pure to the canon on this stuff. Very pure.
All right.
Different topic. Different day.
So then Zuko asks him like, "All right, I'm ready to try it." And
I hate this Zuko so much.
I was like, no, I'm not gonna throw lightning at you.
They just sit and drew a picture, and then all of a sudden Zuko's like, well, they did some exercises.
Yeah, they did that.
And then Zuko's like, all right, toss some lightning at me. Like, this is like all this progress that we've had with Zuko through a series, and like in about 10 seconds, just thrown away to me. Like, I don't care about how you feel about the subject. I don't care about your wisdom and your expertise. What could happen to me? Nothing. I'm just gonna do it. It's like, this is the douchebaggest, biggest piece of crap Zuko in the entire series, right in these 20 seconds, and it pisses me off so much. That's my soapbox. Sorry.
I was like, I'm not nearly as mad.
No, it really makes me angry. Any progress that he has made, a lot of respect lost in these couple minutes right
here. All right. So the flip side of that, we have the moose line.
Change the subject real quick. Whatever. The episode changes the subject really quick. It's fine. Yeah. It's very dramatic, abrupt cuts.
So Sokka's stuck in that crevice, and Aang finds him. There's like a lot of nice, I think, not nice, a lot of funny conversation. Like he's like, Aang, get me out. And he's like, I can't.
Doesn't he like sit down and start like confessing to him a little bit? He's like, I can't earthbend. And it's like having a heart-to-heart while Zuko's in there starving and kind of dying.
Sokka, yeah.
Sorry, Sokka.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to mentally kill Zuko. I'm sorry.
I think they mentioned like being stuck between a rock and a hard place. And Aang does try to airbend him out. And Aang tries to like airbend him out, and it doesn't work. Sokka's hair just like flies and stuff. And I think it probably hurts Sokka. And then the mother of the little moose lion cub comes up, and she is a saber-toothed moose lion. I like how Aang is like, oh, like he picks up the little moose lion thing. I do love how Aang is like. I do love that Aang is like an animal lover. Something we don't see with Korra, that girl. No,
she hates all animals. Just kidding. Sorry, like, that was sarcasm. Yeah. I'm not swearing off of sarcasm.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's a little saber-toothed moose lion." And Sokka's like, "Huh, really?" Yeah. He was like, "Yeah, it doesn't grow the horns in and the antlers in until later on." Where's your mama, fella? Where's your mama, fella? And then there's the big, huge saber-toothed moose lion, and then Aang pretty much faces it. He tries to just redirect it, but that doesn't work. So he has to face it head on. And he does. And he smacks the crap out of it, and then just nonchalantly, they're nonchalantly in the back. Toph is clapping, and then Aang's like, "You've been here the whole time? I was in trouble. Sokka was in trouble." And Toph's like, "Oh, didn't occur to me to help out." And then just this is the Toph that isn't like, "Oh my gosh, we love Toph" yet. This isn't the their best friend type of Toph yet.
We're getting there, but we're still pretty angry.
Yeah, and then she has a staff. Oh, we got to mention it. She has a staff, which is like an ancient relic, and she's just banging against the place. She's just cracking walnuts.
Walnuts or something. Which I don't know if you've ever cracked a walnut, and I don't know if it's actually a walnut, but I think it's implying that it is. I don't know if you ever cracked a walnut. It's not very easy with metal tools, and she's just whacking at it unceremoniously with Aang's only prized possession, actually.
And finally, Aang is like, "That's enough." And he takes the staff back, and she's like, "Do it, Earthbend. You just went up against a raging beast, and more importantly, you went up against me. Do it. You got the stuff." And he Earthbends finally, and that's great and everything. I thought she was gonna. I thought she was going to say, you just went up against a raging beast and you went up against that moose lion. like as if she was the raging beast.
That would have
I
fit
thought that's
nicely
how
in with the rest of the
I thought.
comedy in this
Yeah,
episode. That would
I
have
thought
done.
so.
Good joke. Good joke. I would have laughed.
Yeah. And then he finally earthbends, and he's like, "All right, Sokka, I'm gonna bend you out." And then Toph like, "Wait, no, you might crush him." And then he's like, "Yes, no crushing, please." And like the way she takes him out of it is like pulling weeds.
Yeah,
He
kind
just
of
like
like a
boom,
pluck motion
and just
almost.
yeah, just like drops him on the floor. And then finally they get reunited with Katara, and then no one cares about Sokka. It's so funny.
Not at all.
Katara's like, "Hey, you're back," and then Sokka's trying to have like this real life moment of like, all that time in there, I didn't think I was gonna ever get out. And then Aang's like, "Hey, Katara, look at this," and then she completely forgets about Sokka and his turmoil that he's been through.
Is the perfect ending to Sokka's episode.
Yeah. Also, he wants to meet again. When we saw,
Oh
that
yeah,
was when he saw Aang.
he gets out of that.
Right when he saw Aang, he's
right
like,
away.
"Hey, Aang, you're back. Do you have any meat?" The thing is, he asked a vegetarian if he had any meat.
Yeah, that didn't even occur to me. That's brilliant. Like, I swore off meat, and I'm gonna have good karma. Hey, at peace, vegetarian. Do you have any jerky?
That would have been funny if Aang was like, "No, I'm a vegetarian," and then would have been maybe not that way. It just would have been
I would have laughed.
I would chuckle. Yeah.
It was already a funny episode, and you keep pointing out opportunities for more comedy. Take those down in your Netflix notes. Let's send them to somebody important. Make it happen.
Yeah. That's my life. That's my life goal. Is that for Brian and Mike to find my Netflix casting video, and like maybe they'll be like, you know what, some of this casting is really good.
Like,
let's call this guy up.
Like maybe they don't even take it, but they respect it enough that they're like, hey, we should at least have a talk with him. You know.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Would be. The thing is, I think maybe it's an introverted thing I do, but I have all these parallel universes happening of random things that happen that won't happen, and like they could be like the minor things or really big grand things, and but my head goes through these avenues and lives it out.
That's just mowing. That's the mowing is what it's. You're out there exploring larger parallel universes of things.
Yeah,
that's all mowing is good for.
Yeah. So all right. So on the other side, that's the end of that plot with Aang.
And that's the other feel good part here. There's two feel good parts in this whole episode. In the last part, the second one is that Aang earthbends and Toph doesn't let him kill Sokka. So that's pretty nice.
Yeah. So Zuko's like, fine, Iroh, if you're not going to hit me with lightning, I'll go find my own lightning. And I think this moment is an amazing moment. Shawn, you might disagree. I don't know why. I love this moment. He goes on top of a mountain, and like just the fact that he wants the world to strike him with lightning to prove that he can give it back means he's so freaking lost. Like he doesn't know what to do.
He's just an emotional, crazy kid on a hill yelling at storms. That sounds more like the behavior of a meth head than a person that we should be paying attention to. Like,
but man, that scene of him looking up, the water's coming down on him as if he's already crying because the water's just cascading off of him. He's like, you've never held back before. Like he's been through so much crap that he finally wants some crap to happen to him and it doesn't happen. Like, that's how messed up his life is. And then when it finally doesn't happen, he just tightens his eyes and a tear falls out. I love that moment. Like it's one of those moments that you're not necessarily supposed to love where Zuko's at as a character. Because he is like, I think in this moment he is like somewhat pretentious that the world owes him something. But I still think it's a great character development. It's great.
I think it is
character moments for him.
It's a great moment within the episode. But we are literally talking about it's probably my least favorite Zuko place since the first couple of episodes when Zuko was just very two-dimensional still. It's probably my least favorite Zuko since that, but it's a great moment within the scope of what the episode's trying to get across. But what I'm telling you is that if you were walking in a park and it started raining And you just see, like, over on this hill or up in this tree or something, just some person with, like, a scar on his face and just, like, war-torn from months and months of travel, just yelling at the sky. You'd be like, is that Lieutenant Dan from Forrest Gump? Do you want me to call an ambulance or something, buddy? Can I help you out? You wouldn't be like, oh, wow, what an amazing story. Like, it would be horrifying. Especially if it was an angsty teenager. I'd be so confused. No, it's a great moment within the episode. I'm not going to detract too much or anything from that. Just, it's not my favorite Zuko at all. Bad. Can't
Zuko wait to get to some Zuko that you like. I'm not. I mean, I guess that won't be until season.
I mean, look at last episode, man. We got like real Zuko, kind of picturing a greater good, even in a sort of micro sense. And it's not that it lasted, but like Zuko recognizing the moment as a person rather than as an angsty teenager or a Fire Nation member of the Fire Nation royal family or anything like that. So even last episode, that's good Zuko right there. In the beginning of this episode, he's taken all the training stuff pretty well. Even when he rolls his eyes at Airbender talk. Maybe that's why maybe that's why it feels a little tough to swallow here. Is like up to that point in the episode where he's just like, Uncle, teach me, throw lightning at me. Up to that point, like, we're getting kind of real good Zuko. But, like, he just has a breakdown. Maybe things getting too real for him. He's turning towards the light side too quickly, and he needs a breakdown to happen or something. I don't know. But it's okay. It's not like docking the episode or anything. I see why it's important. I see why you like it. You're not supposed to like. You said it. You're not supposed to like him here.
Yeah. And pretty sure that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff happening in 22 minutes, as evidenced by the hour and 16 minutes we've talked about. In our defense, some of that was about season 4 that's not real. Chris, do you want to walk us through your ratings?
All right, audiovisual 7. I feel like there wasn't really anything that stood out in this episode. Maybe there wasn't a lot of great storytelling and exposition just done in those flashbacks. It was really cool. And I think Zuko and the Lightning in the thunderstorm that won't strike him was pretty good. But it wasn't a standout audiovisual wise. So I think it's a 7. Story gets an 8.5. I think the thing that drove it most here had nothing to do with the A plot of Toph teaching Aang. It had all to do with Zuko and a lot to do with Iroh and just to talk about the 4 nations. Thought all of that was really amazing. So it gets an 8.5 out of 10. Memorable, 8 out of 10. It pretty much has some of my favorite Iroh quotes in it, and that's what makes it the most memorable for me. Oh, and also the funny stuff with the saga.
It's not like pure comedy as much as sort of a situational, I guess, but yeah, it's good stuff.
So 7.9 out of 10.
So I went a little higher on the audiovisual because I thought on the earthbending and firebending side there's a lot of cool choreography, so to speak. Not a lot necessarily going on visually or with the music or anything, but there's some cool choreography and a lot of different stuff on both sides. So I gave it an 8. Story, same, 8.5. As I mentioned, there's a lot of episodes that are like parallel stories. Sometimes one is kind of lacking and the other is not. Like the other, there's like one that's main and the other's not. Here I do actually feel pretty good balance. Obviously, maybe the more deeper, meaningful, impactful stuff is Iroh and Zuko. But we're also talking about Aang learning to earthbend, so that's kind of cool. So there's 2 good parallel stories happening here. Very different types. Memorable, 7.5. If I could take it back, I'd probably even knock that up a hair. I can't really speak to why I was so harsh about it other than I guess maybe just some of the episode specifics might get away from me. Like, before I rewatched it, I would not have remembered that, hey, this is the episode where Iroh had some of his best quotes and where they started talking about balance and stuff. I would have just remembered it as Zuko starts trying to figure out how to redirect lightning and how Aang's trying to figure out earthbending. I probably wouldn't have remembered all these fine-tooth specifics that I see now and really like, but that's probably too harsh on it. Either way, it's fine. It's a score of 8.1. That's a real solid episode. Comes out to a nice 8. And the type of episode that I would probably recommend to most people interested in Avatar. Like, just good, well-rounded, lots of Avatar things happening in all spectrums of the comedy and serious scale here. It's good stuff.
Yes.
What a great picture.
I don't know why that picture.
She's putting him through these drills. Like he's not, he's used to in these other bending styles where he's learning, say, choreography, so to speak. But now Toph's just like literal, like physical drilling him. At one point, I think he's just straight up like punching. He's just punching a rock or something. It just looks stupid. But she's straight up yelling at him like, "You got to be more rock-like." I don't know why it strikes me as so dumb, but it's very, very stubborn.
You know what I think is, I was thinking like this is like a joyful moment. Like I think there's a lot of, for some reason I find it Peanuts inspired. Maybe only because Aang is bald and Charlie Brown is bald. But then I started thinking about like Legend of Korra and how like there aren't as many, I think, joyful moments in Legend of Korra because Legend of Korra is a completely different story and it's way more focused on Korra's struggles. I mean, there's some joyful moments in it, but actually there isn't as many like minor random moments of joy here.
And this one has one or two real cute ones.
Yeah.
I don't know if campy is the right word, but I see what you're getting at with the Peanuts. Just a general lighter-hearted vibe to a few things.
Yeah.
I think that's a good comparison, actually. Not just because he's bald and wears yellow. In conclusion, this is a really nice, good standalone episode. I don't really remember what episode. Like, I kind of don't remember what happens in the next couple.
The library.
Oh! So we're coming up on some real goods and some real bads.
It's real good, but
I mean, in general, in the grand scheme of book 2, we're coming up on a couple real good things and a couple real bad things.
Yeah.
But hey, that's okay. The library. I do like the library a lot. I'm interested to see how I think of it in terms of rating quality, but I know I personally like it a lot. So we'll come back with that in a couple weeks. And I'm sure that'll be very exciting. We'll either do 1 or 2 episodes or some kind of debate. Hopefully we get some like new Netflix news or something to talk about in between now and then. I feel like we've gotten kind of silent on Avatar Netflix news. So it'd be nice to hear something. I think early 2020 is the last thing I've heard. Early to mid spring. That's the word.
Casting should start picking. They'll be having casting calls. They said this fall. So fall is coming up soon. So maybe nice some casting. But I feel like those are like casting calls for like minor characters because I feel like most of the time
they probably got major ones. No
offense to anyone out there who's trying to go out for like Katara and Aang and stuff. They might find the diamond, in the rough, Aladdin reference. I've seen Aladdin twice now. Anyway, but
sorry, John Mulaney, we've replaced you today with Aladdin. We're sorry.
So casting, I expect some casting news probably in November. In fact, to put a month on it.
I just feel like we've gone a little cold on some of the news and stuff, but hopefully something good comes up. In the meantime, make sure you go check out Chris's channel and watch his top 25 favorite female characters from the universe with him and his daughter. His top 25, her top 3, I believe.
Yes, her top 3 favorite, yeah.
Her top 3 favorite. And it's so watching her like her little gears turn while she's trying to logic out why she likes characters. It was so adorable.
So I didn't like prop her for these things. I'm just like, all right, what do you like about this? Like she mentioned that Korra is funny. That's not one of the things that I love about Korra. Is how funny.
I think it was that she was funny when she's trying to bend or when she's trying to fight people. And I don't know why. I don't know. Kids see things in a different light, and the way she sees it cracked me up. I loved it. So I hope you do. I'm not saying she has to be in every video, but I hope she has a presence again because I enjoyed every bit of it. So go check those out. Go, again, read The Rise of Kyoshi, please, and then come talk to us about it. I can't talk enough about that book, but I can't talk about it at work because there's still like a couple people that want to read it, and I don't want to spoil it. So read it, come talk to us, go watch that review. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. And that's all I got. We will talk to you again next week. Have a great week.
Peace.
Later, Chris.
Oh, wait, my head. There we go. No, wrong way.